What if I told you that everything you think you know about success is exactly backwards? You've been taught work hard, sacrifice now, and happiness comes later. But I've watched that formula destroy more lives than it's ever saved. The people who wait for success to give them permission to live, they never start living. Here's the inversion that'll shatter everything. Successful people don't become happy. Happy people become successful. Fulfillment isn't the destination, it's the fuel. But we've built an entire culture around delayed gratification, and now we have millions of people succeeding at things that make them miserable. Let me show you what happens when you flip the script. This video is going to make you uncomfortable, and that's exactly the point. You've been sold a version of success that's designed to keep you hungry, exhausted, and empty, because that's profitable for everyone except you. I'm going to show you why the most successful people are often the most miserable, why achievement without alignment is just expensive suffering, and why the real win isn't reaching the top of the mountain. It's making sure you're climbing the right mountain in the first place. This isn't about lowering your standards, it's about raising your awareness. By the end of this, you'll stop chasing what looks good and start building what feels true. And that's where real power lives. Let me tell you about two people, both climbers, both determined, both absolutely convinced they're heading towards success. The first person, let's call him Marcus, spends 20 years climbing a mountain. And I mean a brutal journey. Sleepless nights, broken relationships, sacrificed health, missed birthdays, skipped vacations. Every single decision filtered through one question. Will this get me closer to the top? And he does it. He makes it. Top of the mountain. Corner office with a view. 7-figure income. Respect from strangers who've never even had a real conversation with him. The whole package. And when he gets there, when he finally reaches that summit he's been dreaming about since he was 25 years old, he looks around and realizes something that shatters him. This isn't the view I wanted. This isn't what I thought it would be. He climbed the mountain everyone told him to climb. His parents' mountain, society's mountain, Instagram's mountain. The mountain that looks impressive in a LinkedIn post, but not his mountain, not the one that actually mattered to his soul. Now here's the second person. Let's call her Sophia. She spent 5 years staring at the base of a dozen different mountains. People called her indecisive, unfocused, lost, afraid of commitment. Her family worried. Her friends asked when she was going to get serious. But she wasn't lost. She was choosing. She was asking a question most people never ask. Which summit actually matters to me? Not which one looks impressive. Not which one my parents would be proud of. Not which one comes with the biggest salary or the most impressive title. But which one, when I reach it, will make me feel like I lived my truth. And when she finally started climbing, something magical happened. The climb didn't drain her, it energized her. Because she wasn't climbing to prove something. She wasn't climbing to shut up the voices of doubt. She was climbing because the mountain itself called to her. Because every step felt aligned with who she actually was, not who she thought she should be. Here's the truth that'll save you decades of your life. The wrong mountain will break you even if you reach the top. The right mountain will heal you even if you never summit. Let me say that again because it's that important. The wrong mountain will break you even if you reach the top. The right mountain will heal you even if you never summit. Most people spend their entire lives like Marcus, achieving impressive things that don't actually matter to them. They hit every milestone, they check every box, they get the promotion, the house, the car, the recognition, and they still feel empty. Not because they're ungrateful, not because they're broken, but because they never stop to ask, why am I climbing? Who chose this destination? What do I actually want? And here's the kicker. Here's the part that's going to sting. We're so terrified of that last question. What do I actually want? That we let other people answer it for us. Parents, partners, culture, the algorithm. We outsource the most important decision of our lives because facing our real desires is absolutely terrifying. What if what we want isn't impressive? What if it's too small? What if people judge us? What if we fail? But here's what I've learned after working with thousands of people across every imaginable background and income level. You can't fail at your own dream. You can only fail at someone else's. When you're living your truth, even the setbacks teach you something. Even the struggles feel meaningful. But when you're living someone else's blueprint, every success feels hollow. Every achievement feels like you're wearing someone else's clothes. So why is it so hard to even know what we want? Why do so many of us spend decades climbing mountains we never chose? That's where this gets even deeper. Imagine a bird, beautiful bird, raised in captivity since birth. Gorgeous golden cage, spacious, safe, plenty of food, comfortable, right? Everything a bird could need, at least from the outside. But here's the thing. Comfort and freedom aren't the same thing. One day, someone leaves the cage door open, wide open, and the bird doesn't leave. It looks at the open door. It feels the breeze. It hears the wild birds singing outside, calling to it. And it stays. It stays in the cage. Because after enough time in the cage, freedom feels more dangerous than captivity. The unknown feels more threatening than the familiar prison. That's what happens to most of us. We build these golden cages called successful lives. Good job, nice house, impressive title, respectable career, and somewhere along the way, the cage becomes our identity. We stop asking if we're happy because we're too busy defending why the cage is good. I make 6 figures. I have job security. I have benefits. People respect what I do. My parents are proud. I can afford nice vacations. All of that might be true, but none of it answers the real question. Are you free? Are you alive? Are you building a life that's yours? Or are you maintaining an image that belongs to everyone else? I've sat across from people who have everything society says they should want, and they're dying inside. I'm talking about people with multiple homes, people on magazine covers, people whose bank accounts have more zeros than most of us will see in a lifetime, and they're miserable. Not because they're ungrateful, not because they're spoiled, but because they're unfulfilled. They traded their freedom for security, their authenticity for approval, their aliveness for achievement, and now they're successful and suffocating at the same time. They reached the top of the mountain and realized it was the wrong mountain. But they're so far up, and they've sacrificed so much to get there, that the idea of climbing back down and starting over feels impossible. Here's where it gets really uncomfortable. Real success requires leaving the cage, even when everyone tells you you're crazy for doing it. I'm not saying quit your job tomorrow. I'm not saying burn your life down. I'm saying start asking the hard questions. What would I do if I wasn't afraid of disappointing people? What would my life look like if I wasn't performing for an audience? What parts of my so-called success am I only keeping because I'm terrified of being judged? Those questions will terrify you, but they'll also free you. Because here's the paradox, and this is the key to everything. The moment you stop chasing what impresses others is the moment you start building what fulfills you. And that shift from external validation to internal alignment, that's where real success lives. Not in the cage, in the sky. So, if success isn't about achievement, what is it actually about? Let me break this down into principles that'll change how you see everything. First principle, success without fulfillment is the ultimate failure. You can have all the money, all the status, all the accolades in the world, and still feel bankrupt inside. Why? Because humans aren't wired for achievement. We're wired for meaning. We're wired for connection. We're wired for purpose. The richest moment of your life won't be a promotion. It won't be a bonus check. It'll be a connection with someone you love, a moment where you feel fully alive, a purpose that makes you feel like you matter. That's the stuff that actually fills you up. Everything else is just decoration. Second principle, the fastest way to succeed is to stop chasing success. I know that sounds backwards, but obsessing over outcomes creates desperation, and desperation repels opportunity. Think about it. The most magnetic people you know, they're not chasing, they're building. They're so aligned with their purpose that success becomes a byproduct, not the goal. They're not performing, they're creating. They're not trying to impress you. They're trying to express themselves. And that authenticity, that alignment, that's what draws everything toward them. Stop performing. Start creating. Stop chasing. Start building. Third principle, suffering for the wrong dream is not noble. It's tragic. We glorify sacrifice. Look how hard I'm working. Look how much I'm hustling. Look how little I'm sleeping. But sacrifice for what? If you're suffering to build someone else's vision, if you're grinding yourself into dust for a goal you don't even care about, that's not dedication. That's self-abandonment. Real success doesn't require you to destroy yourself. It requires you to know yourself. And when you know yourself, when you're clear on your values and your purpose, the work doesn't feel like suffering. It feels like devotion. Fourth principle, and this is the most important one. Freedom is the only success metric that matters. Money, status, power, none of it means anything if you're not free. Free to choose, free to rest, free to pivot, free to say no. The wealthiest person in the room is the one who owns their time and their choices. Everything else is negotiable. You can have $100 million and be a slave to your schedule, your reputation, your investors, your ego. Or you can have a modest income and be completely sovereign over your life. Which one sounds like success to you? Now here's where we get practical, because philosophy without application is just intellectual entertainment. Let me give you some practices you can start using today. First practice, the deathbed filter. Ask yourself, and I want you to really sit with this. If I only had 1 year left to live, what would I change right now? Not someday, not when things slow down, not when I have more money or more time. Right now, what would you change? That answer is your compass. Whatever you'd change is what you're currently betraying. Maybe it's a relationship you're neglecting. Maybe it's a creative pursuit you've abandoned. Maybe it's rest you've been denying yourself. Whatever it is, start there. Start honoring that truth today. Second practice, define success in your own words. Actually write it down. Not what success should look like according to your industry or your family or society. What does it feel like to you? For some people, success is waking up without dread. For others, it's creative freedom. For others, it's having dinner with their family every night. Define it specifically, or you'll keep chasing shadows. You'll keep pursuing goals that don't actually belong to you. Third practice, track fulfillment, not just achievement. At the end of each day, don't ask what did I accomplish. Ask what made me feel alive. That data will tell you where your energy actually belongs. You might be shocked to discover how little overlap there is between what you're spending your time on and what actually lights you up. That gap, that's where your real work begins. Fourth practice, build your exit plan even if you never use it. Most people stay trapped because they don't believe they have options. They feel stuck. So, design your escape route, not out of fear, but out of power. When you know you could leave, when you know you have a plan B and a plan C, you stop being held hostage by your current reality. And paradoxically, that's when you start making better decisions inside your current reality, because you're choosing it, not tolerating it. So here's where we land, and I need you to really hear this, because this is the truth that'll either liberate you or disturb you, depending on how ready you are to hear it. Success is not a destination. It's not a title, a number, or a trophy you put on a shelf. Success is alignment. It's waking up and knowing that the life you're living belongs to you, not your parents, not your industry, not the algorithm feeding you other people's highlight reels. It's building something that makes you feel alive, even if nobody else understands it. It's having the courage to leave the golden cage, to climb the right mountain, and to stop performing for an audience that doesn't even know your real name. And here's the mantra I want you to carry forward from this moment on. I want you to say this out loud right now. I will not sacrifice my soul for someone else's definition of success. Say it again. I will not sacrifice my soul for someone else's definition of success. Say it until it rewires the way you think. Say it until it changes the way you move through the world. Because the moment you stop chasing what looks impressive and start building what feels true, everything shifts. You stop competing with people who aren't even in your race. You start creating instead of performing. You start living instead of auditioning for a role in someone else's story. This isn't about lowering your ambitions. This is about raising your standards for what actually deserves your energy, your time, and your one precious, irreplaceable life. You don't get another shot at this. You don't get a practice round. This is it. And spending it climbing the wrong mountain, living in a golden cage, chasing success that doesn't fulfill you, that's not just a mistake. It's a tragedy. If this hit you somewhere deep, if you felt something crack open inside you while you were listening to this, I want you to do something for me. Hit that like button, drop a comment, and tell me what your real mountain is. What's the thing you'd be climbing if you weren't afraid of judgment? What's the life you'd be building if you weren't performing for anyone else? And subscribe to this channel because we're going deeper into what it means to build a life that's actually yours, not a life that just looks good in pictures. Stop chasing their success. Start building your freedom. That's the truth no one wants to hear, but it's the only truth that'll set you free.